Yeah.
That's awesome. And you mentioned also that you are expanding the services and expertise to consulting specifically on AI UX. And so like that's super interesting. How does that process of designing AI powered experience, how is it different from more traditional UX design? Like what are the learnings there that you're discovering?
Yeah, so we're launching a consultation format called AI UX Lab. This is basically going to be kind of like a mix of a design sprint with the elements of user lab, right? So we will, first of all, listen a little bit to the user side, and then to some best practice, and then ideate and prototype together. But what we will actually want to achieve in this maybe like a 2-day workshop, right, is we take the key user journey that the company is having and see what are the real use cases, right, where they can implement AI. But the point of this is, again, every implementation has to drive real user value. What we see right now is companies, first of all, implement AI for the sake of it, or they just implement like the chatbot, right? That's their only understanding of AI, which is fine, like again, like this is what has been booming over the last year. Now everybody is more into agents, right? So again, like whatever is trendy, but no, again, you can throw so much resources into implementing any fancy feature. And back at Google, we were always saying, like, just make sure your basics are right? Like no trends keep changing and so on. But AI is still gonna enrich user journeys, right? You just need to understand how exactly it can drive value. And yeah, so like again, like making it as narrow as possible, right? Maybe at any stage of the user journey, at any page, it can be like a small thing that like a small personalization, a suggestion, very narrowly targeted, maybe communicating to the user what it does and why. Yeah, and on the level of the entire user journey, there is this thing in UX that is now called generative UI, right? Not generative. So and this is what's coming, right? So possibly in the future, maybe in like maybe not 5, but maybe like in the 10 years time, again, designers are not going to have that much control over like every pixel, right? But the interface is going to change and adapt based on like all the user history that the AI has, right? So maybe like it's a nighttime and like I don't know, like I need to give a little bit less, I don't know, like images and like a flashy content, and maybe like based on their signals, what the person has been like going through and like looking for recently, is gonna adapt not only the content but even UI, right? So the interface is not gonna look the same for every user. So here it's just for us in the lab is to helping companies to understand how their user journey can look like in this case when everything is going to be dynamic. What are the constant things, right? So what are the behavior patterns that are going to be there, what people are going to keep wanting to do, and what the company needs to keep delivering on.
Wow, generative UI. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
And so the concept is, I want to make sure I understand. So the concept is that the UI is going to be generated dynamically based on, the user data, like sort of what they prompt and what then comes out, and creating like this more personalized experience in the end.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah, every website will be adapted in its own way, if there will be still websites. But I think in 10 years, still there will be still every different ones. But it will be changing more and more and more, and even chatbots will evolve into something more visual, into something more that people can work with, right? Maybe different widgets, but it's going to be absolutely different for every user, depending on what they do right now and during the day, what they've been like doing and requesting before, the history, the preferences, and yeah, so just less and less control over how things look, but more and more about what people want and what they need. Yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned that you're observing that, user expectations, the industry regulations, and some of the opportunities that you see out there in the marketplace are changing very fast. And so, in the context of UI, and you mentioned some of the red flags that you've identified, in current AI implementations, like AI for the AI's sake. It's just because like we have to, but we don't really have like a clear vision for that. Like, can you talk about some other red flags that you've identified, and from a user experience perspective, and where do you see, that AI is genuinely enhancing the user journey and is genuinely adding value already?